everybody, and welcome to the Ruckus Room. I'm here today with Jonathan from Flagler Weekly, and we have wanted to talk about some local things that are going on in the community in Flagler. And hi, Jonathan. I'm so excited you came on today and had time to spend with us
How are you doing?
remotely.
I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I appreciate you inviting me. Just got a
Oh,
lot
no
of
problem.
stuff going on the home front.
You're a busy man.
Mm, Yeah, man.
That's a good thing.
I'm trying to do my thing. I'm trying to go the entrepreneurial route. So, not unfortunately, but it seems like when you're an entrepreneur, all of your time is accounted for, where you need to do this and
Yep,
do that, where, if you work like a 9 to 5, I tell people there's a lot of benefits to that where you could just, at 5 o'clock, you're done. You can watch TV, you can
yep.
do this, you can do that. But as you guys know, with the show that you're running afterwards, you got to hit up guests, you got to follow through, you might have to edit some footage, you might have to, reach out to some people and some posts. Sorry, guys. Frankie wants to be in the footage too.
Benjamin Franklin, how you doing?
Say hi, Frankie.
Cute doggy.
Say hi, Frankie.
But yeah,
But
you're right about being an entrepreneur. It's not 9 to 5 for sure. And
mm,
are there any cool endeavors you're working on right now?
um well, like I told you, I'm a process server, so I always have some cool things going on with that where I'm trying to find somebody. And right now, I'm not going to get into it too much, but I believe there's somebody on the Orlando Magic team who I might be looking for out here in Orlando. But that's pretty
Oh, cool.
interesting. And then
Yeah, that's really cool though.
yeah. And then on my other front, where I have a junk removal handyman business where we work on fix and flips with investors, I'm working with some developers that are pretty, uh, I think the word would be headstrong about developing I-4 from Tampa to Daytona. They're like by
Oh,
2030,
wow.
it's going to be almost like South Florida from West Palm to Miami. It's just straight businesses, buildings and stuff. Now from Daytona to Orlando, there's a lot of woods in between there. From Orlando
Yep.
to Tampa, there's a lot of woods in between there, and they plan on developing all along the highway.
Hopefully they're developing a way to make I-4 not so bad to drive on. That is
Uh,
horrible. I mean, like, what would take us like 3 hours to get to Tampa is now taking 5 to 6 every
mhm.
day, no matter what time of day it is, no matter when you go. It's horrible. What do you think? Like, I-4 traffic is just unbelievable.
I agree. It is bad. And
Yeah.
some things I believe that they are coming is the Bright Line. They're trying to connect all the way from Daytona to uh, to Tampa. Because I know I used to Uber, and it's crazy. People would take Ubers from Orlando to Tampa, Orlando to Daytona, but they really don't have any other options if they don't have a car. So I think the train would free up a lot. So that's one of the plans.
How much is
Then
an Uber? How much is an Uber to do that ride?
if an Uber from Orlando to I'm over by UCF to Palm Coast is
Okay.
going to cost you about $130, and then the driver is
Oh
going to
my
get
goodness.
like 65. They're going to get like half of that.
Wow.
Hmm
That's so the train will be like what, like 50 bucks? They'll cut it in a third, you think,
It
to
might be
ride that?
cheaper than that because I know
Oh,
right now you could take the Bright Line to Miami and back round trip for like $90.
well, that's not bad. That's
No,
not
so
bad.
I
Well, that's
imagine, yeah, round trip $50 because I was just talking about one way for Uber is one.
yeah, that's insane. It's like $300 just to ride back and forth to Palm Coast from where you live. And then you tack on traffic, I mean, that probably makes it longer the longer you're in the car.
Yeah,
You get stuck, it's gonna be even more money.
definitely.
So, well that's really cool. You go from stakeouts to, doing flips and things like that in real estate, so you're seeing a whole bunch of stuff right now. It's
Definitely,
crazy.
definitely.
Every
Yeah.
day's different, so that's good. Well, I wanted
Yeah.
to ask you because, you cover a lot of our Flagler, news and local news and things like that. What is well, actually, how do you decide what goes out and what doesn't on your platform? Like, what stories do you pick that you're like, "I have to have that?" Like, how do you pick and choose what you think is newsworthy?
So what I think are the best articles are quote unquote like evergreen articles. Mainly what I kind of consider Flagler Live. I like to consider them like Fox News, CNN. They're just like mainstream. It almost seems like they're in bed with the city council and everything like that.
You've
Um,
noticed that too?
yeah, they're a little, and the thing is,
Yeah.
and I like to tell everybody this just because it causes a stir, but I voted Democrat. You know what I mean? I voted for the left, but I'm more of a centrist and stuff like that. But I just don't like how much like you would never know from Flagler Weekly of what position I voted. You know what I mean? Because I also locally I voted
No.
majority on the right and Republican. But so I feel like if there's stuff that's really not getting put out, I want to put it out. You know what I mean?
Yep, that's
I
how
try
we
and
are here because it's very biased around here.
exactly. I try and keep a
Yep.
good relationship with the police and Flagler sheriffs, but if there's some crazy stuff going on, I'm gonna post it. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah,
like
because it
one of
gets views too when you get it out there.
it's like and that's kind of I think where I'm coming from, I don't want to say is less from a news point of view and more from what I feel is necessary for the people, because we can't really get into a position where we're allowing the news, or say the police and the news aren't allowed to work together. That's not good. That's a bad place to be, because whenever they do something wrong, they're not going to talk about it. You know what I mean? Same
Yeah,
thing with the city councilmen in the news. They're not allowed to be on the same page. So it's like, let's say with Alan Lowe, when he was running, we're going to support you, but if you do something we don't agree with, we're going to post that as well. You know what I mean? But it's
exactly,
like,
exactly. But
you
it's
know,
so
and it's
biased
like, I
now
feel like
around here.
Alan, he's a great guy, and he took it very well because he understands when you want to become a political figure, this is what comes with it. You can't be like, "Oh, why'd you post about me?" But then you want me to post good things. You know what I mean? And
Right, right.
not saying he had anything bad, but just going both ways. I'm posting things that are what I feel like the majority of people aren't gonna look for, like not really mainstream news, stuff that they should know about, like
Right.
the fuel depot that they're trying to build and stuff like that. Like this is some important stuff.
Well, that brings me to my next question. So, what do you think the issue in our community is that's not getting enough attention right now, but deserves more spotlight, you think? Because I have a couple on the top of my head that I could talk about, but I wanted to know your opinions first.
I think some things. Let's see, some things that aren't really getting spoken about
Yeah,
are,
enough.
yeah, enough is. I think it's just like the project, and this is something that we just spoke about where you were going to ask me about it, but one thing I want to do a lot better of is more of like a, not a day to day, but maybe a month to month covering project 2025 in the western expansion that Flagler County has going on right now, because it's seeming a little bit like, it's like, it are the citizens not allowed to be a part of this? Why do you guys have like so much like, it's almost
Very
like
hush
one
hush.
day they're just gonna open the doors and it's already gonna get be built up. It's like we're not
Yeah,
allowed to invest in it at all. And then that's gonna cause a real problem of like the haves and have nots, where these like development, like real estate guys mixed with construction guys, they own all of West Flagler. But it's like we don't even know anything really about it. But the thing is,
no.
they wrote about it on their website, but people don't really even check it out. So what I want to do is kind of like how we're doing here, and Dave and I do it as well, where we have like a podcast where we talk personally, but then we also have a what is it called? It's like a webcam version where I can pull up information. Like we'll pull up police videos and we'll react to those, or we'll pull up other things going on. So what I want to do is pull up Project 2025 in the Western expansion, and let's talk about what's going on, how far along we are, how it's looking, how much money it's going to cost the taxpayers. Because
Yeah,
like it's happening right now. They're probably about 15, 20% like on it right now, and nobody knows what's going on. Like
Yeah.
nobody. I took my drone over. This was like 5 years ago. I had a drone and I flew it over the other side of US 1, and there was like roads already back there and everything like that. But we're not
Yep.
allowed to go back there. And I'm like, I don't know
So
what's
who's allowed
going
back
on.
there now? Who's allowed back there? Just the city or county?
I'm pretty sure, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and people who are in charge of things.
What do you think about our city and what direction it's going in right now? There seems to be a lot of muddy water going on.
Um, I have some friends in the office, but once again, I'm gonna keep it as honest as I can. But I'm also gonna say I don't have proof, but there seems to be some, I don't want to call it corruption, because corruption usually has to do with money, in my point of view. I'm not a huge fan of what Mike Norris, how he goes about things. He has a very, and this is a John Robinson quote, Trump way of doing things, where it's like, hey, it doesn't matter how I talk to you as long as I get the things done. And a lot of people
Right.
quote that, but I'm kind of like, hey man, I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't talk about the girl's toenail color in a meeting.
Right.
Like that's
Yeah,
inappropriate, you know what I mean?
I know.
So
So if an independent investigator is doing research and it came out that they found stuff that wasn't done on the up and up in the way he talked to women, that had nothing to do with the other incident. So there has
right.
to be something going on.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. So it's like
Yeah.
if I was to really like just give my honest opinion, I feel like there's some backroom conversations going on. Like, yo, we got to get rid of Mike Norris.
Yeah.
We gotta. I'm not saying they made up stuff. Maybe he said things he shouldn't have, but it definitely, I see a coordinated effort to kind of get him out of office, out of the paint. They're trying their hardest. He's not helping himself
Yeah.
either with a lot of stuff he's going on, but I definitely see where he's going on, where he's like, hey, he's kind of quote unquote trying to drain the swamp.
Right. Yeah, I see that point of view too. But I don't know. Do you think he'll be able I don't think he'll be able to do that because maybe he won't be in office long enough to do that. Because it seems like is really deep, that swamp.
Yeah, I kind of seem like these might be one of these positions where if he really wants to do the right thing, and this is just my opinion, I'm not saying he's not doing it or not, but I almost feel like you have to like be a modern day martyr to where it's like, yeah, you might lose your position, but you're going to expose what's going on so the next person can whatever. But it's like, hey, man, now what a lot of people do is they cover their tail just so they can stay in that position. You know what I mean? It's really, what
Right.
do you want to do? You know? But like I said, this is all speculation. I'm not saying I know anything going on, but once again, this is from my eyes, and I'm a citizen. That's one thing with Flagler Weekly,
I
where it's like, what do you say?
Yeah, because like, you have your own podcast show, and the people I think what people don't understand about podcasts that's different than actually, like, certain news media outlets is
Mhm.
it's your opinion. It's not
Exactly.
an article written, and this is why people do podcasts because they talk about things that people don't wanna talk about, and the things that are uncomfortable that people should know stuff that don't know. We cover school stuff and different things here, and because people don't wanna talk about it, and that brings attention
Right.
to it, which gets people talking about it, so that's a good thing, like you said, you're
Mhm.
doing with several different things and how you use your platform. So when the
Right.
haters come out and they wanna say stuff, it's kinda good
And
though because it gets everybody talking about, the issues that need to be talked about.
100%. And one
Yeah,
thing that I love about podcasts is that like each episode you do, it kind of builds your credibility. So if you're just saying a lot of crazy stuff, after a while people aren't going to listen to you. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's like, you know, I feel like just the continued success of Flagler Weekly just shows that like we're for the people. You know what I mean? And it's like if
yep,
people don't like what we're saying, they're not going to listen to us. They're not going to want to have us come to their restaurants and stuff. They're not going to want to
right.
have us come to their businesses and stuff like that. But I honestly think people respect the fact, we got invited to the rooftop of the new hotel and stuff like that. I'm about to put that
Yep.
video out on Friday, I believe. And
Yeah, how did
some
you like
guy,
it? I've had Riggs on the show, and we've, talked about it. We've been there several times too, and,
Mhm.
how did you like it? Your opinion?
I think it's beautiful. I love how there's a
No,
lot of people from the city working there. I honestly don't think it obstructs the view that much. I think it's cool. I don't like the parking.
no.
It definitely. Am I allowed to curse?
Yeah, you're allowed
I
to
don't.
curse. It's a nightmare.
I
That's the
don't want
beauty
to
of
like mess up
podcasting, you can say
anybody
whatever you
else's
want.
situation or
No,
anything like that.
you can say whatever you want, that's why it's a
Okay,
podcast, Jonathan.
right. Some people do have some like G-rated podcasts, but anyways, they fucked
Not
up the
this one, honey.
parking,
They
right?
did.
And so it's like that's horrible. They ruined the parking. I tried to go to Raw Juice Cafe or whatever, like
Yep.
that little
Yeah, there's no way.
acai bowl place right there. There's no parking.
Yep,
I had to
yep,
park illegally at the hotel and stuff like that.
yep.
And I'm like, that's bad. That's really bad. They
The
definitely messed up.
the few things that we talked about was when you're on the rooftop bar and grill, you
Mhm.
can't see the sunset because of the way that the building is shaped. You can only see the sunrise, and the bar's not o that bar rooftop, restaurant is not open until 4 o'clock, and it closes at 9. So we're talking about that because you're a hotel on the beach, the people wanna go out there and have
Yeah,
fun,
you got to
especially if
be
you're on
open till at
vacation.
least like 2 in the morning.
I know. That was
If
the
it's a
one
bar,
complaint that and then the other thing is people's home pools are bigger than that pool at that hotel.
that's true. That's
Did you
true.
see it's like a
That's
rectangle, like,
true.
little thing, and then you
You
have,
can
like,
fit like
100 bodies
five
in there.
people in there in that pool.
I know, it's like a Barbie pool.
Mhm. It's like it looks nice and it's definitely going to bring tourism. I have a friend who's from here. He lives in South
Oh,
Florida
yeah,
and he's like, "Yo, when I come there, I'm staying at that hotel." And then
yeah.
also I'm 36, he's 36 as well. But I'm single, he's single. He's like, "Yo, it's like this is kind of a problem like if you have a girl, like I don't want to bring a chick back to my mom's house. You know what I mean? So it's like, and there's no good hotels out there in Flagler Beach. You have that one in
Yeah,
Palm Coast, but it's like, it's whatever.
the
You know what I
Hampton
mean?
or
And there's really
Hilton,
like
yeah.
no good hotels to bring females to in Flagler County. That's a problem.
Well, if you really wanna
Um,
step up your game, you bring them to the hammock. You can bring them to the hammock resort anytime you want.
that's it's funny. Never thought about that. I didn't even know that was an option.
Yeah.
I thought
Oh,
you had to
yeah,
be a
you can go
member.
rent the No, you can rent rooms all the time in there. They have Airbnbs, RVOs, you can rent online or you can, reserve rooms. That
Yeah,
hotel is
Airbnb
very
is
nice,
usually
the
the
resort's
method
really
that
nice.
we went and stuff like that because the hotels are just
Yeah.
trash. Um,
Cinnamon Beach has some great condos in there for the night. I mean, some of them are even cheaper a night than the hotel is now,
wow,
and they're
I'm
nice.
definitely gonna I'm definitely gonna look into that.
Phone a friend, I got a hookup for you. I could hook you up with, some of that.
Awesome. Don't tell my
Sure.
friend that. Then Compass is about to
Yeah.
lose some business. But you know, it's funny because I also do my Fry Guy videos, and so we
I
went to
saw
the
that,
restaurant. We went to the
the
restaurant,
gyros.
and that's kind of another thing too, where it's like they're like, John, like nobody wants to watch your Fry Guy videos. It's like, okay, but I enjoy doing them and I want to do them.
Well, that's the other thing, people don't realize you have multiple platforms like we do. Like, people are freaking out because we have, like, 100,000 views just on my one page in Facebook, but you've got
Hmm.
Instagram, TikTok,
Hmm.
Spotify, YouTube. I mean, there's so many other ones that people don't realize you have viewers and followers everywhere. So, if
Right.
one platform doesn't pick it up, another one does, and people do care about
Definitely.
where your favorite fries are. In fact, what are yours locally? Did you like the
Ooh.
gyros the best, or
Um,
they did look
well,
really crispy.
wait, you said the gyro spot? Or here
Yeah,
at the
those are the
Compass
crinkle
Hotel?
ones. Oh, well, no, not the Compass Hotel. I don't think you tried the fries there, did you?
I did try the fries there.
What do you think?
Uh, they're good,
Local.
but I have a big problem. This is a huge problem.
Alright.
I was like, hey, I'm John the Fry Guy. I want to try your fries. Give me the biggest basket of fries you guys have. I don't care
It's
how
that
much it
little silver
costs.
one.
And I was like, they said, I'm sorry, but you can't just buy the fries by themselves. You have to like get a meal. And I'm like, what?
Did they put them in a little basket, that little silver basket?
I think it was a decent size, but I don't think it was a little basket. But my problem is like I had to buy a burger. I had to pay $17. It's like,
Yeah,
and it's
to try
like,
their
bro, I
fries.
just want fries. Why can't I just buy fries? That's weird.
Yeah, 'cause, sometimes kids go into the hotels and all they want are fries, so,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that's
what I'm
usually
saying.
a
It's like,
side
so I
dish.
gotta
Yeah.
buy my kid like I'm like, this is out of pocket. And I will be
So
speaking to
where
Compass about
in Palm
this.
Coast Flagler area is the best fries so far that you've tried?
Hmm. Um, if I was to give out the best fries right now, I would say Terra Novas. They have
Terra Nova,
yeah, they have these kind of like
I like their white pizza.
what
They have
is
the
the name
best
of
white pizza.
what's
Never
it?
thought
It's
about
like
that.
garlic aioli sauce comes with it,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yep.
they have like some special fries. It's like off menu, but oh man,
Oh,
they're hand cut real potato. Wow, wow! It's in our
well,
one of our first food reviews.
they're gonna have to add that to the menu now that you just said that.
You know,
They're gonna
I
be
like off menu things where you got to go there and ask for it. So definitely go there and ask for the
ask
garlic
for that
aioli
fries.
fries.
Well, that's
One hundred
awesome.
percent.
Uh, I wanted to ask you, so, I know you know a lot about the football in the area and stuff. What are the biggest stories you think that are coming up locally? Because there's been a lot of shifts, a lot of transferring, a lot of things going on, and what's your opinion about this football upcoming season for high school in the area?
Um, you
I'm going with
know,
Creek. I think Creek is gonna be one of the strongest teams in the area.
um, I'm trying to think. Of course, Mainland's going to be a dog, but just kind of sticking to Flagler and Matanzas and stuff like that. A problem that I had, one, is there's like constantly the new coaches coming in, the door is revolving. We need a coach to
Yep.
stay there for a while. You know what I mean? Number
Yeah.
two, uh, what is going on? Oh, wait, I do know what's going on. There's a lot of kids transferring and they weren't allowed to play in the spring game. That's perfectly
Yeah, and we
fine.
covered it. We covered it because the other news outlets you should have seen the little group of, people that were chiming in, but it's true. I mean, one of the transferred 8 times. He's, from freshman to junior year, 8 different schools. At Matanzas now as a quarterback his senior year. We didn't even mention the names or anything, but that's just
Mhm.
one of them. I mean, what do you think about that? I understand doing it
Um,
once or twice, but that many times or even that, like, what do you think about the transfers that they're not staying at their schools, they're going all over? What do you think that is the reason for that?
I think it comes with a problem of building chemistry within the team and stuff, especially at your quarterback position. It's like, are you even
Yeah,
going to still be here? It's like, do we trust
yeah,
you? Do we follow you to lead? It's like I'm not against transferring, and obviously I'm not one to tell people how many times they can do it, but you need to understand what comes with that. You know what I mean? Where it's like,
yeah.
are you
I
transferring
know
because you're not
Ladarius is
good? You know what I mean? And
yeah,
you're looking for
that's
somewhere to
what I was
play,
thinking.
and then
Exactly.
it's
But I
like,
know that Darius is back at FPC. He's the only three-star quarterback that I heard that's in the, Tri-County area from what I read.
mm,
And he's gonna be starting again up there. He was ineligible too with a couple other I had over 8 players that were ineligible at FPC alone to play in the
you know,
spring game. And the last minute they told him that some of our people can't play, like, what is up
yeah.
with that? Like, shouldn't you know that?
Right. And I'll tell you what, man, I'm in like I actually am the founder also of the Flagler football team alumni Facebook page. And
Yeah,
it's like we talk a lot, the alumni, we talk a lot, and these are like internal conversations. But that 70-14 loss was disgusting and like the worst loss
yeah,
we've ever taken in history and stuff. And it's like,
yep.
as a coach, you're a new coach, I get it. A lot of your starters can't play, but
A
coach,
lot
and
of seniors
I hope
graduated too, though.
yeah, it's like
That was a
I
heavy
hope you
senior squad.
I hope you hear this as well, though. But it's like you need to coach up your bench. You can't just coach up your starters. That's what a lot of high school coaches have
Well, we were
problems
just
with.
talking about
Where
that with Allen because at Matanzas, the backup quarterback to the other quarterback that moved 8 times and couldn't play,
hmm,
he wasn't ready for varsity football. That's what he said
like
in the article.
how's
Yeah,
that even
how are
possible?
you and no, and then the kid who ended up pulling out the win, is an upcoming senior. He never played 1 rep or took 1 rep as a quarterback at, Matanzas. He was the
But he
receiver.
probably
So
was a player and he's built in that chemistry. His teammates
yeah,
trust him and they probably put him at that position because he knows all the plays. You have those players who, like a LeBron James, he knows other people's positions and what they should be doing, you know? So if
right.
you have an
I'm wondering
athlete,
if
you
he'll
could
end
put
up
him
being
out
the
there.
quarterback now. He pulled
I'll
off the
tell
win
you what, that whoever that
off a
quarterback that
penny.
transferred there, he might need to transfer again because he's gonna have some problems.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, "Wow," but that I mean, that's a little excessive. I mean, that is really excessive, and when you have people I mean, you saw all the people that transferred from FBC that went to either Mainland or Spruce Creek or different areas, like, I mean, do you think that they still have time to transfer into FPC, or do you think them losing like that, is gonna be hurt them in the long run? Like, people are not gonna wanna go there now, and they're gonna have a rough season?
I mean, if I'm being honest, even though
Yeah,
Flagler is my team, you shouldn't really want to go there right now. They don't have a coach. Matanzas is looking pretty good. Their coach has been there for a while, I believe. And it's like they have a new coach, and it's like I'm
but
not saying
even
that they're
them
going to
being
be bad, but if you're looking to go somewhere and win, I wouldn't go to somewhere that has a new coach and lost so many, seniors and stuff like that.
yeah, but even the chances, they got told last minute that their quarterback couldn't play and several other players. Don't you think as long as he's been there that they should know the transfer rules? Like, who do you think dropped the ball there? Do you think it's administration's fault? Do you think it's, the coach's fault for not knowing that? I mean, these kids are
Um,
practicing and they know clearly they're not able to play, and yet
You know,
we were just
yeah,
gonna maybe forget about
once
that?
again, I go back to what you and I said at that situation last year at the end of the
Yeah,
season. Everything falls back on the coach. The coach should,
yep,
especially at high school level. If it's NFL, it might fall on the quarterback or something. This falls on the coach. He's the only one over 25 with a fully developed frontal lobe. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and these kids are going to school. They got other things to worry about. This coach, it's your job to know the rules and stuff like that. You got kids excited to play and they're getting pulled out like the day of. That's crazy. And it's
Why do you
like,
think a coach would, let somebody take rep sets behind a quarterback that could get hurt without having somebody as a backup take reps in case that quarterback's out, like what happened the other night?
you said, why would he go about that
Yeah,
way?
why wouldn't he get somebody to take reps in case the original quarterback gets hurt? Why wouldn't he let somebody take reps who is going to play varsity instead of somebody who's not ready for varsity? You think there's
And
because there's not enough insurance or
that was exactly my point in the beginning, kind of where I said he like even though all these starters are out, you guys need to take a moment to talk to the coach and be like, hey, buddy, there's going to be times during the football season where people go down. You need to
yeah,
train up the second guy. It should not have been a problem that the starter couldn't play. You should have had a backup quarterback ready, knows all the plays and everything like that.
yeah.
Like,
I well,
what are
you
you guys
saw
doing at
FPC
practice?
had that problem too. FPC kinda had that problem when it was 70 to whatever. Um,
Right.
I don't know. I don't know how they do their reps and everything, but, are there any other things that your group brings up that are red flags or something that they're concerned about besides that this year? Or big stories
Um,
you think are coming up with it?
you know, because we've talked about a coach of us like, yo, you guys should go be the coach and stuff like that. And I said, if I was a coach, the parents would have to like sign a waiver before that they're not allowed to write me up for yelling at their kids. Like, you can write me up if I physically abuse them, but it's like, it's almost like, let's say if back in the day they're like, John, you're fat. Yes, it's gonna make me feel bad, but I'm gonna go and work out. You know what I mean? We're not
Yeah,
allowed to say that to people anymore. You're not allowed to tell people they're fat anymore. And it's causing an increase of fat people in America. You're not allowed to tell kids that they suck anymore. And it's causing them more sorry kids to play football. You could play, but like let them know. I remember Coach Ripley, he got in trouble. And that was kind of one of the main ones that wanted me to start a podcast because I was like, yo, you gotta let Coach Ripley coach. And if a kid is asking to play running back, but he can't play running back, son, you can't play running back. You know what I mean? Like I can't
yep.
be Olympic swimmer. I can't do it.
What do you think
You know what I
what
mean?
do you think of the school that the whole thing with letting Coach Fish go and everything? He's at First Baptist, I believe now, but what do you think about that whole thing and how it went down? I never asked you your opinion on that.
And at the time, I didn't
I
want to
think he
mess
did
with
help.
my nephew's recruiting or anything like that because ultimately the head coach can ruin your recruiting and stuff like that. I just
Yeah.
think I found out later that he's like 27 years old, and
Yeah, he's young.
I'm like, no offense to him, he's a grown man. I don't mean, but in football terms, he's a kid. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really looking back, I don't really blame him for a lot of things he did. He acted as a 27-year-old would. You know what I mean? And
They had a
I
successful
think he'll have
season though, him and Metlock.
yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
but and no offense to him, but those kids have been successful before he even got there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
like,
some of them were. Yeah.
he kind of came into a successful team and stuff like that, and then it kind of seemed like some coaching mistakes is why they didn't move on, because you're supposed to stop that right there. But anyways, um ultimately he's going to be a great coach, and these problems he's going to learn from them. But he's just young, and this is the things that come with it. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
unfortunate that my nephew was a part of that season and stuff, and it's crazy. One thing I will say, and I don't want to say there's a problem with this coach or not, but you know, after their junior year, I asked my nephew, I was like, are you going to transfer somewhere else? Like, I think you should go to Mainland or St. Augustine, because they were both in the state championship that year before. And this was like a new coach. You should go to a coach who's been there. He'd been with that Mainland coach because he was at FEC before.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I want to stay, break my dad's record and stuff, which is cool. And, ultimately he is going somewhere, which I'm very proud of him. But the star wide receiver at FPC last year, he transferred to Mainland, and they haven't even started the season yet. He has 6 D1 offers,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and it's like
it's all about their
at that
coaches and
yeah.
their experience and notoriety at
These
the schools
D1
and what they're
coaches,
bringing
not
in.
only is there a pipeline with coaches that they know, but also successful programs like Mainland who have been to states multiple times. D1 coaches come there. So even if they're not coming there looking for my nephew, they're coming there looking for somebody else. They're going to see the stars that show out. But,
Yep.
you know what I mean? FBC don't really have that too much. We got a couple coaches that come there, but then if you come there and the coach is like a 27-year-old kid, you know what I mean? And they
Yeah.
don't really know, you know what I mean? Hey, you know what I mean? And like, I noticed that, even the star quarterback, I don't know where he landed, you know what I mean? But like, he was supposed to go
Hayden? Are
somewhere.
you
I
talking
don't
about
know if he
Hayden?
went there. What'd you say?
Yeah. Are you talking about Hayden from last year?
Yeah. Hmm.
The quarterback from FEC? Yeah. I don't know where he ended up. I know he got offensive player of the year the other night in the News Journal. But hope he did get an offer. I mean, had an amazing season. Um with
That's my only
everything.
thing. It's like you have the number one, you have like a top 10 quarterback in the state of Florida. That's facts. You have the top 10 running back in the state of Florida. That's facts. Both of them should be going D1. You know what I mean? I'm not
Yeah.
really putting too much on the coach because he was new. He was more focused about winning than developing the players. I'll say that. You know what I
And
mean?
you said like
Not really
when
too much of his
trans
fault. He's a new coach.
and like these kids, they could transfer in and out, once or twice. I mean, if that's what's best for their kid. But when you see multiple, what do you think of that? Do you think like the recruiters, once they see you've transferred like 8 times in 3 years, like that's a huge red flag? I'm not talking about the kid that if he wants to go somewhere in his senior year to better himself for an offer, that's totally
Mhm.
different than the one. I'm sure. What do you think? Recruiters are going to say, what's up with this if it's
Uh,
multiple?
yeah. If I was a recruiter, I'd be like, "You're not good. If you were good, you'd
Yeah,
probably stay somewhere." You know what I mean?
and
I don't know
carry
if
your
you've been
team.
through that many situations, and also if you have, I'm gonna say you don't handle like difficult moments well. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's one thing to do it once. That's you bettering your
yeah,
situation. Now
yeah,
you're really just looking for a handout at that point, in my opinion.
yeah.
Not saying that that's what it is, but because it's a case by case moment. You know what I mean? I can't speak for everybody, but if you move every single year, a lot of the times I just think your parent almost like is kind of like those parents that let their kid just like get participation trophies. You know what I mean? Like, hey
That's
son,
what my son
sometimes you're
said.
gonna have
He's
to
like,
tough it out.
"You got the participation trophy, you've got the ring chaser comment." I've seen so many of them. So, I
You
mean,
know, but
but yeah, once or twice is
but there
is
are
okay.
yeah, and also I will say it also depends on the sport. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So like say um let's just look at like your son. He's doing really well in weightlifting and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's not
he
really a
loves
team
it.
sport. You don't need to transfer to another school to do
No,
well
but
in that. You know what
you
I
know
mean?
the thing about weightlifting though, because of how our media is around here, they don't even cover it. Like my son got
Hmm.
4th in state. One of his
Hmm.
teammates, Cody, got 3rd in state. They put
Hmm.
this little blimp, only one. Flagler Live didn't cover anything. The News Shirl didn't cover very much. But you have to
Hmm.
talk about it on our
Right.
news media outlets because that's the only way they're going to get recognized. And there was like 7 kids that went to regionals. No one talked about. These are big achievements for these kids, and there's several
One
other
hundred
programs that are
percent.
just like that that are just not
100%.
recognized. But well, thank you so much,
Yeah.
Jonathan, for your time today. I can't wait to have you back on. Please keep us posted with everything that's going on. And if you need anything, let us know.
Wait. Hold on. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
so I'm also a podcast as well. Am I allowed to ask you guys some questions?
You might as well go right ahead.
Okay. Now, what I would like to do is I like to ask you questions as the people speaking to Flagler Voice. Can I do that? I
Okay.
know. I know.
Alan's going to have to
Alan,
chime in on this too, because I don't want to be the
yeah, I was
only
gonna say I
one.
know
That's the
Alan's there
voice.
as well, and
He is,
we don't really get
he's
to
on the
speak to
mic.
you
He
guys
just turned
often.
it on. He just turned it
Okay.
on.
Okay. Now this is from a producer question. Is it difficult having so many shows and maybe corralling the views for sponsorship purposes? Because it may seem like you only get
I think it
150
broadens it.
views. What do you
I
say?
think it broadens it. I think it broadens the scope, and I think that uh, the ability. See, we're a studio. We're not my side. We're a
Mhm.
studio. We're not a podcast per se.
Got you.
So the more podcasts and the more varied subjects that we can bring out, the more the
Hmm.
studio presents a more broad presents to a more broad
And
audience.
reaches a whole bunch of, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Reaches a whole bunch of different audiences.
Got you. Okay. So how do you feel? Now, this is a personal question. I'm taking a shot at some other. I'm gonna go ahead and say the Flagler Buzz. I'm gonna say that. Something about them that I noticed is they don't really create a lot of original content. They just share other things and stuff like that. Like we share things as well, but you guys have a lot of original content. How do you guys feel about these pages who just share stuff?
That's a good question.
We always have our
I
opinions, so we
yeah.
just go with the flow.
Well,
We'll
yeah,
share their story, but we'll add some stuff to it. We'll add, which
yeah. We
gets people pissed off, but it's fun. I don't
we
Yeah,
care.
it's
we
great.
look
Like I
at
saw you guys had a great video where it was like the kids on the bus, but then you talk about it. That's the original
Yeah,
right,
content. But when you just like
yeah,
share it and you're almost what I call stream farming, where oh it's popular, so I'm just gonna share it and get our page popular.
right.
It's like,
that's
okay,
not
that's
really
great.
that's not really news. I mean, that's not
Yeah,
really something that.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly,
in this
exactly.
time, you have to come up with your own content. You have to be your own creator. Social media is very important. So the more that you get creative and get different things and talk
Mhm.
about things like we're talking about today that people don't want to talk about, that's going to
Right,
bring up more views in
right.
the
And
long
and
run.
we and we do. I mean, we look around at articles. That's where the content comes from. That's how we know what's
100%.
popular in the community. But
Right,
we don't read the article or post up the
right,
article and say, "There you go." We
right.
expound upon what the article's saying, whether we agree with
One
it or
hundred
not.
percent.
Yeah,
That's why I love you guys, and I feel like in like a football in a healthy competitive way, you guys are competition to us. But and I'm gonna give you guys a clip right now. Flagler News Weekly. They just I don't really see much. I'll say this: I don't even know who really runs the pages. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, we don't
Flagler
either.
Buzz.
Well, we know two
It's like
names, but
who are you guys? You know what I mean? And
yeah,
that's just my. And I'll
it
even
might
give
just
them
be a
some
parent
advice.
sharing articles.
Right. And I'll just give them some advice on the evergreen of like people. It's like people know who I am. They go there and like, hey, you're the guys from Flagler Weekly. I
Yep.
you could put the owner of Flagler Buzz on your podcast with 5 other people. I wouldn't know who they are. You know what I mean? Like it's
I
like
walk
who
into
are your
Cracker
peers?
Barrel, they know who I am. I walk into Target, you're the girl from Flagler Voice and the Ruckus Room. Yeah, they know you
And
now.
so even at that point, if people don't like what you say, they could tell you that. And I'm not
Right.
saying that they're hiding, but I'm saying like, what is your guys' opinions? You're just sharing stuff that we've already seen. Not you guys, but
Yeah.
the Flagler
No.
Buzz and stuff like that. But I I like competing with other what I call podcasts because they're not really news. It's just like local local media is what I'll call it. You know what I mean?
I don't even
And you have
consider us competing, do you?
I don't either.
I don't compete, like, I don't look at it as we're competing against other news outlets. Like, I've always viewed this when we started, like, we're spreading the word of things people want to talk about. We are building audiences of all different genres. Like, and like,
mm-hmm,
I love having you and Riggs and like all these people on our show and platform because we
mm-hmm,
share audiences. We talk about things that people don't
right.
want to talk about
Mm-hmm.
and cut up and like, and a lot of shows don't do that. They look at it as you're that show. We're not going to have you on our show. I don't like doing that. I don't know about you,
Right,
but obviously you like being on here.
it's
But
funny because that's where it's almost like I consider it like football, and I come from football. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
shout out Lindenwood University. But it's like we're competing, but then like when the game's done, we shake hands, we talk. You come to my family events and stuff. Like I come
right.
on your show, you guys come on our show. But just for me, when I say competition and like you guys being competition, it's just like I want to do well. I want to put out I want to put out good content and stuff. Like I'll tell Dave, I'll be like, Dave, we haven't put a podcast out in like a month, and I know we're busy and stuff, but it's like they keep putting out content and stuff. I want to keep putting out content. You know what I mean? Like I want to be like let's say I say just for me, where my competition comes from is like not exactly the most followers, but maybe like the most engagement. I want people to
Yeah,
engage with our page. I want people to like our posts. I want people to feel like we're fair. I want people to feel like we're honest in our takes and stuff like that. And
yeah.
like I want that for you guys also. I don't want it to seem like it's
Well, yeah,
negative or
we have
anything, but
several different shows, and all of us are on each other's podcast all the time. Like I have
right,
Will coming on
right.
later on my show, and I'll be on
Mm.
his show. Alan has us on his show. That's the
Well,
cool thing
I'll
about the
say you
studio.
guys you
We're all
guys are all
family.
one conglomerate, but I mean like
Yeah,
competition between like say Flagler Weekly, Flagler Voice, Flagler
there is no
Buzz.
competition between you and them. And there's no
Well,
competition between us and them because, like I said, we actually
yeah, they
report the
don't.
news and actually talk about it and like talk about
Right,
people's point of views, whether you like them or
right.
dislike them. Flagler Live hardly has covered anything really. They're like they've kind of shied away from a lot. I'm not gonna lie, a couple
Yeah,
of
they're
them.
It's funny because Flagler Live may have the most followers, but they don't get no engagement quite like you or I do. They don't. You know
No,
what I mean? And like
not at all.
and
Yep,
it's funny how all of this goes together real quick. I'm just going to say this. So I
you're
played
good.
football at Flagler County, and then I went through the recruitment process and went to college through football, and then I got my business management and marketing experience through Lindenwood University. So just on the back end side of it too, where it's like, people could
Yep,
have a lot of followers, but you could see the engagement, you know what I mean?
correct.
Just like
Whether it's positive or negative, it's still engagement and it still works. Right, Alan?
right,
Yeah. And that's
right.
when I'm going through our analytics, I'm looking for engagement, not necessarily
100%.
the number.
And
Yes.
like right now, just on
100%.
my one page, we have like 5 huge cities following us and watching our shows. We got Chicago, LA, New York, we
That's
have
awesome.
Atlanta, and we have Jacksonville. And it's like those are like in the top 10 of my one little page. So that's why I'm
Hmm.
saying like, it's great. We absolutely
Yeah,
love it. And those
definitely.
people are just going to copy our content in the long run. It's not going to work out for them.
100%. One way where I feel like you and I are different to where we're not really competing, we are in different lanes, is I love your guys' studio, and I wish I could talk Dave into us like getting into a studio, but you
Why
guys
don't you come
are
You
use
can come
like
ours?
here, use ours, and we'll be
Come use
family
ours.
together. And you guys can have your own show.
uh I'm definitely interested. I just didn't know
Yeah,
if we could
talk
like
off the air.
afford something like
Yeah,
that. You know what I mean?
We'll talk more off air.
yeah.
Definitely. But one thing I like about us is we like go out into the community and stuff
Yeah,
like
you're
that.
out in the
Like,
field too, like us.
yeah,
We've
like
done some
doing like
foodies out
business
there. Yeah.
spotlights or food reviews and stuff like that.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
it's funny because I think it was like the Buzz or something where they did try and like do some stuff like that, and a lot of people just see it's harder than it seems. You know what I mean? To
It's
just
not that
get all this
easy.
together, then edit the
Yeah.
videos, then promote it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
you always have to look for good content. That's the other thing. Like you have to have people that are willing to step out of the circle and actually come on and talk about things that people don't want to talk about. We've had teachers on here before talking about our
definitely.
school board. We've talked about it, the transportation, like you said, or football or just different things. So you
Mhm.
know, that's the
Yeah,
other thing, and
and
that takes time.
yeah, I think where I also benefit is I've lived in Flagler County since 1990, and I went to
Yeah.
like
I got you
it's great.
beat.
Like when I really look at it, I went to right, I went to preschool with like some sheriffs, some detectives, some deputies, with some
Wow.
teachers, with some
So you're well
coaches.
known.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The old Matanzas coach, he's gone now, but Keith Lagaki, he was like the first Matanzas football coach. And at that time, we were supposed to hate Matanzas because of FBC stuff. But when I first moved to Palm Coast, when I'm a baby, we rented a duplex while our house was being built. And Keith Lagaki rented the other side of the duplex while his house was being built too. So like he knows me. So like I'm on the FBC sideline, and then like I go over to the Matanzas sideline. They're like, "What's he doing over here?" But it's like I know everybody. Like I know I went to high school with all of like the city councilmen, the city managers, all of them and stuff. So it's funny
Wow.
because I honestly do feel like I can go anywhere in Flood County. Like
Yeah.
I can go anywhere, you know. And one thing I do want to tell you that I am about to start doing, and people are lucky that I'm working out here in Orlando, but I'm gonna start going to city council meetings and recording live. And then I
That's
want them to
awesome.
tell
We
me
should
that I
join
can't
you.
do that.
We should join you
It's like
because
I
I feel like, just like you said, that's the one thing that's not getting touched on enough.
right, and I'm gonna tell them, I'm like, whoever tells me
School
I
board
can't do
meetings are
this,
another
we're
one.
voting you out. We're voting you out next time. If you tell me I can't record, we're voting you out. And
You
it's
should do
like,
that in the school board meetings for sure.
definitely, you know what I mean? Because it's like we have the
Yeah.
power, and I don't mean that in a
Yeah.
bad way, but it's like us as the media.
Yep.
Why can we not go in there and record? I feel like everybody should be able to be at this meeting, you know. And if we
Well,
have all the locals in here, what are we trying to hide from our people? That's a big problem that we have going on in our community. I feel like
yeah.
so.
Well,
You
I
know,
love you to death, Jonathan. We will see you soon. We'll talk some business after this, and we will definitely get together soon.
definitely, I appreciate you guys having me on. You know, and
No
you
problem.
guys make sure you check out and follow Flagler Weekly. Subscribe to us.
Yes. Yes. And follow us
All
on all
right.
of our 7 platforms too.
Definitely,
Have a great
definitely.
day,
And
everyone.
we had Alan. We wanted you to come on our podcast as well.
Whenever you like.
No, not you, Alan. Her. I want her to come on the podcast.
We'll come on
Oh, you
together.
you said Alan.
No,
I'll
oh,
come on
I
anytime you
said
want.
we have had Alan. Alan, you're welcome anytime. You know that. But I'm
I'll come
letting
on
her
your
know I'd like
podcast
to have her.
whenever you want. I'm actually getting ready to plan a trip to go to New York to collaborate on a couple podcasts, so I'm super excited. I'll keep you posted.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys, and everybody have a great day.
You too, buddy. Bye.
Bye bye.